off.
Want to update you now on the COVID crackdown in the city. The mayor continues to tout signs of progress in the cluster zones in Brooklyn and Queens. However, it does appear cases are starting to rise in other parts of the city, especially among police officers. Some new numbers out today shows yesterday's positivity rate in New York's red zones holding steady just below 5%. News 4's Andrew Siff joins us live from Midtown with what else we've learned today. Andrew?
Right, David, for a couple days now, you've heard the mayor talk about leveling off, a plateau in the so-called cluster zones, and now even on this gloomy, rainy Friday, possibly even brighter news that within days we could see a reopening in some of those red zones. New signs that COVID-related shutdowns in several city neighborhoods could end within a week.
Now, there is a chance to get out of these restrictions as early as latter part of next week. That's my goal, and based on the numbers I'm seeing, we're still in striking range of that.
But on his weekly call-in show today, the mayor also heard frustration from Queens, a community board chair concerned the state and city aren't on the same page.
The miscommunication and lack of coordination between the state and the city has had a very negative effect on the residents.
Alexa, you're obviously right that it would be nice if there had been one consistent approach from the beginning.
The caller, Alexa Weitzman, told News 4 the city's cluster map leaves blocks without any cases at all, wondering why they're shut down. And clear data is hard to find.
Right now on his page, the recent metrics are only updated until the 10th of October. Where are those cases coming from? Are they coming from the cluster sites or not? Right now, it's Queens red zones, and they're miles apart.
Adding to the anxiety, it's the governor who gets the final say on reopening. This week, Cuomo said it's too early to know when the restrictions will end. And City Councilman Mark Levine told me he's also concerned about COVID upticks outside the cluster zones.
It's really important that people not be complacent, even if they're not in one of the so-called hot zones, because the rates are rising in many other neighborhoods.
And even the police commissioner today said after so much focus on Brooklyn and Queens, there are new COVID concerns in a third borough.
We're also seeing an uptick within the NYPD. And we're watching it very closely, and it's actually, the Bronx is where we're seeing internally.
And what City Council member Mark Levine told me is just take a look at Manhattan. Last month averaging 40 new cases a day, now averaging 70 new cases a day, and yesterday alone, 98. Live in Midtown, Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
Andrew, thank you. Some troubling numbers coming in from the Department of Education showing that students from New York City's underserved communities are struggling in school. Data from the spring shows student attendance and engagement were nearly 8 times more likely to be lower at schools where at least half the population is Black and Hispanic. The lack of engagement is being blamed on the need for devices and internet connectivity at those students' homes.
Regardless of whatever model people support, hybrid, not hybrid, remote learning is a part of the program. And the fact that thousands of our kids, particularly from under-resourced communities, still don't have a device is unacceptable and shameful.
Mayor de Blasio recently announced that the city does plan to order an additional 100,000 iPads in November.
One of New York's state university presidents is resigning just weeks after her campus had to shut down due to coronavirus cases. Barbara Jean Morris had been president of SUNY Oneonta for nearly 3 years. The school did have to switch to all remote learning in September after hundreds of students came down with the virus. The outbreak has been blamed on several large parties. The university didn't tie her resignation to the outbreak, but local officials have. Now, Oneonta officials say Dennis Craig is going to come over from SUNY Purchase to serve as Oneonta's interim president.